Thank you, everybody. Hi, hello, welcome, and the audience who has joined us in heavy numbers from all across the globe. It's an odd time out here in India, but uh, thanks to everybody who has joined in from US, the UK, and other parts of the world. So, hi, my name is Bismay. I am the head of product, TagMate product at Tatwik Analytics. And today we are going to talk about, or today's webinar is the second episode of the Tag Talk show. So, people who are joining us for the second time, they must have seen my face already. Uh, Thank you again for joining today. And today's webinar is on GA4 reporting. I know GA4 webinars has been a fad right now. A lot of webinars or a lot of topics on GA4 are in vogue. Everybody seems to write blogs. Google is kind of promoting heavily that GA3 or UA, Universal Analytics, is sunsetting next year. So there is just about some 9 months of time, 8 to 9 months of time when one has to migrate everything from the Universal Analytics to GA4, which includes your user accesses, your reports, your events that you did, and obviously the goals and conversions and whatever was the base of your business metrics reporting that one used to do. So I work at Tatwik Analytics, which is a digital analytics agency, which does consulting for Google Analytics implementation. So I kind of can definitely vouch for what kind of pain would a small agency or an enterprise, a small business or an enterprise business will go through when they are kind of migrating or migrating all the reports that they were so much comfortable with in Universal Analytics to GA4. To make our Tag Talk episode interesting, we have invited Ziga. Thank you, Ziga, and welcome to the second episode of Tag Talk. So he is a TA and GTM specialist and is an entrepreneur as well. So thank you for joining us in today. He is going to basically take us through top 3 advanced GA reports, which are very essential for any digital analyst in a team, in a product team, or an analysis team, analytics team, who are either looking at performance reports for their marketing campaigns or looking at e-commerce product performances or something like tracking a subscription base of the newsletters and so on and so forth. So here we go. So today's agenda we'll start with about the quick intro on our speakers. Obviously, it was Ziga. And then we'll talk about what is the difference in reporting between Universal Analytics and GA4, because that is kind of the base for our webinar, because we want you to show why we need to be cognizant about what all reports can be migrated and how do we kind of compare the metrics, the reporting metrics that are available across both the platforms. Since it's just not a new interface, it's actually a new tool when we talk about GA4, right? Then we'll go ahead with the top 3 reports, which will be demoed, and it will be a live demo. So hope it will be as valuable as much you have invested the time in joining today's Tag Talk show. And there will be Q&A, obviously. And then to end with, we'll have a surprise giveaway for everybody who has stayed back until then. Yeah, we'll try to cover everything in 45 minutes. I hope you guys will be interactive. Please drop your questions in the chat window, the Q&A window, and we'll be sure to answer them as the webinar progresses. So, hi, Ziga again. Would you like to introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah, hi, Bismay, and hi, everybody joining. Super happy and excited to be here today with you, and hopefully I'll be able to teach you something new. So A little bit about me. I've been in marketing for over 8 years now. I started with a crowdfunding campaign that I had some success with. And then I helped a bunch of other products raise over $7 million up till now. I've also founded a couple of my own startups. And to this point, I've only worked with early stage startups and scale-ups in marketing departments. And I've worked a lot in different areas, but my primary focus was always on analytics and trying to understand customers, where they come from. And hopefully I'll be able to share a part of this knowledge today with you.
Sure. I think, Gio, definitely that would be the scenario today. Like you are a GA/GTM specialist, and we are going to talk about GA4 reports. So hope the audience gets the juice out of this entire webinar. A little bit about me. I head the product division at Tattvik Analytics, and we have been building a couple of products, mostly in the marketing analytics domain. So there is TagMate, which we'll talk about briefly at the end of the session, which is mostly about data collection or analytics setups, just like Google Analytics or even marketing pixel setup. Then we'll talk about, then there is Pipestream and Badger. Again, some of them, one of them is an ETL tool, the other one is a visualization tool. You can obviously reach me at hello@tagmet.app. Great. Over to the next section, which is which I was talking about, the baseline for our today's webinar topic, the difference between UA and GA4. Starting with users, which is considered the the metric where businesses kind of rely on, where we are talking about how many users have we acquired from any of these channels or acquisition channels, right? So in UA, there was something called total users, which is the total number of users, and then there was a new user. Ziga, what do you see how users metric has changed in GA4? Because there is generally a discrepancy in the number of users across both the platforms.
Yeah, sorry, forgot to unmute. Basically the name stayed the same. And as you mentioned, in the Universal Analytics, what was counted under users was basically the total number of users that arrived, right? But in GA4, those are only active users. So active users are the ones with engaged sessions.
Right. I think that definitely gives a bit of clarity that when we are comparing users in UA versus GA4, we should keep that in mind. Similarly, for page views, it's almost the same, but then again, not the same, because in UA, it was all about pages, while in GA4, it is pages and app screens, because GA4 is a cross-platform analytics tool, right? About sessions, I think sessions in UA versus GA4, there is a lot more change in the definition, right? Jiga, what do you would you want to throw light on this? How has it changed?
Yeah, I mean, for starters, sessions are now not an entity on its own, but there's an event triggered when a session starts called session start event. And there's some extra parameters within it. And there's some other details how sessions get measured. For example, they used to reset at midnight in Universal Analytics, then they don't anymore, right? So if your session crosses the midnight, depending on what your settings in Google Analytics 4 are set to, the session shouldn't restart. The same goes for the campaign parameters. It used to reset when new set of campaign parameters were encountered. For example, some UTM parameters, the same person within the same session time arrived to your page from, for example, from two different links, it would be reset, but now it's not. And also Google Analytics 4 now since we're losing cookies, they get less data, but they try and statistically estimate the number of sessions and unique sessions based on their internal ID. So it should be a bit more accurate than the old universal analytics.
Great. Yeah. Thank you for that piece of information. Moving on, bounce rate. This is definitely something very critical because this was previously not available in GA4 and then was later introduced into GA4 a couple of months back. So, Ziga, has the definition really changed or?
Yeah, I mean, we still didn't get the bounce rate, right? There's no, you won't find the metric called bounce rate, but you will have a metric called engaged sessions. So this is like an inverse of bounce rate. And the engaged sessions are basically defined for in Google Analytics 4 for every instance where people are on your site for more than 10 seconds, trigger another event. So whether it's another page view or it's a different screen or whatever that constitutes a different event, then it will be considered an engaged session. If nothing is triggered or you don't stay on the website for more than 10 seconds, basically it wouldn't be marked as an engaged session, and you could sort of count it as a bounce rate.
Yeah, it definitely is a required, I think, metric that everybody was waiting for. I think there is another couple of metrics which are still missing in GA4, like time on site. People will expect that in a short while that Google will introduce that as well. From total events, I think everybody understands that earlier there was event category, event action, event level, which was kind of the convention in UA. But in GA4, it has changed into something called an event name, and every event or every action is considered as an event, be it a hit, scope, or a page view, or a simple event that was there in UA. So there is event name, and then there are event parameters in place of event category action level. For conversions also, this is an important change that has happened. Previously, we used to have goals settings where you could count only one conversion per session. Now in GA4, there is every instance of that event is counted as a duplicate, is counted as multiple conversion events. So yes, so we just wanted to give you guys a refresher before going ahead that actually there is a lot of change in the reporting of your metrics in the dashboards. So even if you migrate your same old UA dashboard to GA4, there is going to be a lot more numbers difference, as well as there might be certain metrics that you will have to look at from a technical perspective that their definitions have essentially changed. Great. Moving to our third section for today, which is all about the actual reports. Before that, we would want to quickly run a poll. One of my team members would want to run a poll quickly for 30 seconds. So the question is about, have you already migrated to GA4? Since these are the top 3 reports, or there would be obviously a lot more basic and advanced reports that you would be starting to build in. But if you have not migrated to GA4, then yeah, this is the right time to get started as well. We are starting to receiving responses. I will wait for 10 more seconds before going ahead. We're going to close the poll in about 3 more seconds. Thank you for that. We'll share the stat at the end of the webinar session. So these are the top 3 reports which are actually advanced. The reason why we are calling it advanced is all of this reports needs a lot of customizations or custom report features that are available in GA4. Be it editing the exact report in GA4 UI or creating an exploration report in explorations. This is where the expertise of GA comes in. So without further ado, I will kind of move to him to kind of talk about three main reports. The first report is the landing page performance report for an SEO agency where they want to measure the organic performance of their clients' websites or landing pages. For a Shopify store owner or a WooCommerce WordPress store owner, or even for any e-commerce website, because the Black Friday deal went past, they would have definitely set up banners on their website, promotion banners. They would want to analyze the impact of such kind of Black Friday banner promotions on their store sales, and if how do they create dynamic remarketing audiences based on that, so that they can push it to their Google ads or any other ad mediums to kind of retarget them, right? And last would be for blogging websites who are hosted on, let's say, WordPress. And since our since their importance is to track the number of subscriptions to the newsletters, so this is going to be a lot more important, that how do I track them so that I can use them for sending emails and doing email automation marketing and so on and so forth. Yeah. So let's get started with the first one.
This. Okay. All right. So yeah, the first thing we want to look, Disney already mentioned, is how to measure the organic performance of landing pages and where to find the reports with metrics like impressions, average position, click-through rates, engagement time, and so on. So there's actually a couple of different methods you can use, and we'll take a look at the first method, which won't give us all the metrics I mentioned before, but it's super simple. So we can go under the reports, and under the engagement, you will find a pages and screens report overview, which will load just in a second. And here you can basically do a quick overview of the landing pages and their stats. If you're used to the old way of showing the landing pages in Google Analytics, you can basically do the landing page instead of a page title, and this will give you the URL for each page. But this report now includes all the traffic, not just the organic ones. So if we want to measure just the organic traffic, we can do that by modifying this report, and we can customize it up here. And basically just, sorry. No, I wanted to add a metric. So basically, if you want to do this, just filter the traffic. And you can filter the traffic, but by any dimension you have in the Google Analytics 4. And here is a bunch of different dimensions that you can use. And for our purpose, we'll just use first user widget. Then you can just select the organic traffic and apply it. This way, you'll see that the traffic here is only shown for the organic traffic to each of these landing pages. If you want to modify this report, as I started to show earlier, and add some other metrics, for example, if you want to see how many new users came from these specific channels, and since we don't have this metric here, we can simply modify this report. And here you have different dimensions and metrics, and just add a different metric. For example, in our case, new users. And if I do that, and just move it a bit higher, so we'll see this report. See that now we can track how many new users came from this specific channel. Okay, but here we don't see any metrics like impression or average position or click-through rate from the Google itself. For this, we need to include data from Search Console. I've already done it in this account, but I'm going to show you on a different account how you can do that. It's super simple, so don't worry. You just go under Admin, and here in the Properties menu, just scroll down till you see Search Console links. And you basically just link to a Search Console property that you manage. I've got a bunch of them, and I'll just select the appropriate one. And then basically you just select the web stream for this specific property. So this is the stream that you have enabled, and you can just add it with one click. Once you do this, you will get in reports, you will get an option to add all these reports to your panel. But usually it's not added automatically. I think I had it here before, so that's why it was added automatically now. But I'm going to show you how you can do it if you don't see it. You can go under the library, and here in the library section, you will see that you've got a lot of, as soon as it loads, a lot of collections. And one of the collections is also Search Console, which is currently already published. That's why you see it here. If it wasn't, and you wouldn't see it in your sidebar, you would just simply click here, Publish. I'm not going to unpublish it now, but it would say Publish. You would just say Publish, and it would show in the left side bar. There is, however, sometimes a bug where Search Console shows twice. So if this happens to you, you can just click on these three buttons and just click delete for one of the Search Consoles, not for both, and you will get only one report. So this is basically it. The second report we wanna check is where can you look up sort of like item promotions performance from your website. For example, if you're doing an internal promotion or internal banner, and then we'll check how we can create a dynamic Google Ads remarketing list, so you can basically target those users that visited this banner, that clicked on it, but haven't purchased in the past, so you can remarket them through Google Ads. So what I mean by banner, I mean like, for example, on this Google Merchandise Store, example, this button here, sale, or the more the merrier, shop now. So these are all the banners that they have on their website. And if they want to measure the performance of it, you would basically go under, I'm using different reports because in this report I don't have any e-commerce data, and I wouldn't be able to show you, but this is a Google demo account which you can try out yourself as well. And yeah, basically you just go under monetization, and in the monetization overview we'll see how much this specific Google store making monthly. Let's just wait a second so it loads. So here at the bottom you've got different widgets in these overviews, but here you can see that you've got an item view events by item promotion name. I'm not sure why there's no data inside in the preview section, but you can get more details in each of these widgets just by clicking this button, in this case, view promotions. And here we'll see...
You got another bug, maybe? You think it's a bug?
Or I don't know, or maybe they just didn't set it up correctly, because as we'll see here, you can see now the item promotion name in the custom dimension, and there's promotion views, but there's 0 clicks, 0 add to cart. So I think they just didn't implement it correctly, or they're still leveraging the old universal analytics migration, and that's why it's not showing up. So I'm not sure. I don't think it's a bug in the Google Analytics, because I've seen in other at other companies that this works. So it just might be their specific store issue. So if you don't want to just look at the item promotion name dimension, you can change the dimensions here as well. And if you want to add some extra dimensions through which you want to segment this audience, you can do it as I showed you before with the edit button here, which I currently don't have the rights on this Google Merchandise store. Okay, so since I'm unable to edit anything on this Google demo account, I'll go back to my account, and now I want to show you how you can make a dynamic audience based on the things we talked about, so you can target them through ads. And for this, you can go into the admin section again, and here under the properties, just wait till it loads, you'll see the audience section. And here you can add your custom audiences. You can just click on create new audience. And there's a couple of things that are quite good now in Google Analytics 4. And this is that Google already gives you some suggested audiences that you can create. They also give you some new templates, so by technology, demographics, acquisition, from which you can start and create your custom audiences. And they also have predictive audiences, which, as I mentioned, I don't have a store on this account, would give you insights into, like 7-day likely purchases, or, churning users and so forth, right? For our purpose, we want to create an audience of all the people that haven't purchased but clicked on the banner. And we could do this by creating a custom audience from scratch, but I want to use a general template from the start, so non-purchases, which gives me already the excluded things, right? And Google already gives me here which users they should exclude. And those are all that made purchases, all that did an e-commerce purchase, and in-app purchase. Since for this specific example, I don't have an app, I can simply remove this condition, and this will apply only to this. This is not enough. We still want to include all the users that clicked on the banner. And how we could do that is simply by add another condition here. And in our case, as we looked before, I would start writing item promotion, but like I said, I don't have that here on this page. So let's think of a different metric by which we want to filter. And I think a good approximation for that could be page location. So if somebody clicked on the banner and landed on a specific promoted product, we could use a page location to detect this, and then just add a filter where this page URL, for example, contains this. So now this will create an audience where all the people that visited this page and didn't purchase, and put them into this audience. Right. One of the things that is also important here is to know the scope. If you want to limit this scope, for example, only within the same session, if somebody visited your page and didn't bought in that session, you could switch to this. But if you want all the people that never bought but visited your page, then you would just leave to this. Within the same event, this is for some special cases. I wouldn't use it here. And you can also set up the duration. How many days are people eligible to stay in this custom audience, right? So the minimum, I think it's 1 day, and you can also set it to maximum.
Interesting. Interesting. Siga, is there a way that I can also create something like a sequence where people who have visited this page and then they have added the product to the cart and still not purchased? Is there a way that I can achieve that as well?
Basically, you could achieve that with sequences, right? So let's remove this first condition, and then you can have a sequence of steps that must happen for these conditions to be fulfilled, and a person would be added to this audience. For example, in the first step, we could add a condition of maybe an event of visiting a product, and then the next one would be add to cart, and we could retarget only people that did do these two steps and target that. And then you also have some cool features where this second step or all the following steps have to directly follow previous step or indirectly follow it. What this means is that if I visit, for example, if I do the action that suffices for this first step, for example, visit a page A, and then I visit the page C, and then I come back to page B, if indirectly followed by is enabled, then this will still count and the person will be added to the audience. But if we change it to directly followed, then I need to go from step A directly to step B if I want that condition to be satisfied. You can also limit it with time. So you can say, I want to count all the people if they achieve that in first 5 minutes or 15 minutes, or I don't know, in 15 days or whatever your funnel of conversion is.
Interesting. And once the audience is created, how do we kind of get set with the remarketing?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so maybe before we go there, just 2 more or 3 more important things you need to be aware of. Once you create an audience, you cannot edit it anymore. So if I create this audience, let's just remove this condition and I'll show you. I can only change the name and the description of this audience and add audience trigger. I cannot modify the parameters anymore. This is why. This is because these audiences will automatically import and constantly refresh in Google Ads as well. So if you want to have a different audience, you'll have to delete this audience and create a new audience. One other thing that you have to be aware of is also that they're not retroactive. So that means that the data imported into this audience will not go past the time you create it. So it will only gather users from the point you create the audience forward. And also, it might take up to 24 hours before this audience synchronizes to Google Ads. And after you created these audiences, you can go to admin, and you have to link also the Google Ads. If you haven't linked it yet, you'll need to do it. If you did link it, there's no need to do it every time after you add an audience. It will automatically be added. So here you can see Google Ads links, and the process is similar to Search Console. You just click the link, you select your Google Ads account and all the configuration steps, which I won't go through it, but it's just, whether you want to have personalized advertising enabled. If you don't enable these, all your remarketing events won't be passed to Google Ads, and you won't be able to see all the details. But this might be connected to the region where you are, because it depends how your data collection and how you communicate it on your website. So after you create these, all the audiences will automatically be synced.
Interesting.
So Let me just check. Are there any questions so far? No. Audience limited. Sai, what did you mean by audience limited?
Is it like, is he trying to ask how many number of audiences can we create in total in GA4 property or property?
Is this the case, Sai? Yes. I'm not sure from the top of my head. I think it's 50. So I can later on take a look and get back to you with this number. I think, yeah, definitely you're limited to number of audiences you can create. So don't just create them all over the place. But I'm not sure about the exact number. Maybe Ismay, you can check in the while.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the next report.
I think we wanted to talk about the next report from a publisher point of view, people who have publishing pages or websites or blogs. And we do have a lot of forms on our website, and we want to track the incoming traffic in form of leads. So Ziga, yes, why don't you show us how would somebody like them track the subscriptions and make use of it to do email remarketing or and other marketing activations?
Yeah, sure. So I've got an example page here with like just a simple form, and if I just write something inside and do this is a search form, but it would be the same for a lead generation form as well. And we can actually see, if I go under the reports and under the real time, we can quickly see that an event is triggered. Okay. Sometimes Google is a bit slow. And yeah, you can see that form submit was basically just triggered, right? Google Analytics 4 actually tracks some of the events automatically, and I'm just gonna show you quickly where you can see this, and you can see this under data streams, and you can even disable some of these events. And later on, I'll talk about in here under the enhanced measurements. You can see everything that Google by default now tracks. So that's scroll events, site search, form interactions, video engagement, and so forth. So if you have form interactions enabled, you will see this event that I just showed. So form submit. So if we, want to now make this event as a conversion to measure it in different reports, we could go under the events, just simply here under form submit, mark it as a conversion. The same goes for any other event. If you want to the form start, well, this parameter actually starts when you start filling up the form, and I wouldn't be so confident to say that these forms work well on all websites. So I would suggest you to test it out for your specific case. And in most of the pages,
actually, I had a question on that.
Sure.
Is this particular form _submit applicable on all types of forms that are there? Because on my website, there is actually a WordPress form plugin that I have installed, and I'm tracking based on that. So will this work, the enhanced measurement, or is there any other way to do that?
I usually don't track forms in this way that I'm showing you, but the setup of form tracking could be really, really complicated, so I didn't want to go into details. This is totally new feature which might improve over time. I don't think it works on all forms, or even on the basic ones. I'm not super confident that it works 100%. So I would be careful to use it or not. If you want to have 100%, confidence that your forms are triggered correctly, then I would suggest that you either implement this through Google Tag Manager, and there's a bunch of tutorials online how you can do that, or you get your developer, to trigger some data layer events or events into Google Analytics when a form triggers. There's a third way as well. If you drive your, after a form submit, if you drive your users on a thank you page, and it's a unique thank you page, then you can create a custom event, which basically triggers whenever a person visits that landing page. So this way, you would 100% be sure that all the submits of the form are correct. What I wanted to show you just quickly is also that you see now that I selected form submit. It shows here in the conversions, and you can also disable it if you want to. So maybe now let's take a look how we can leverage this conversion and this data in a custom report. So if we want to create sort of like a report segmented by city and maybe source and medium to dig really deep into where our leads are coming from, we'll have to create a new custom report, because we don't have any reports that would satisfy this here in the pre-made ones. And here in the explorations, you've got a bunch of different ways of exploring data. And for our specific purpose, we would use a free form, which basically lists the data that we want. It's not funnel, but it's basically a table. So as I said, we want to segment it by city, which we already have here. And we want to add another category, which is basically source and medium. And we don't have any dimensions here. So let's just add it. We click on this plus and source and medium. And let's just say first user source and medium. And we'll just import it. And then what you can do is simply drag and drop it here instead of the category. And immediately you'll see that we get this report. But we're not done yet. We can add some other metrics as well. Currently, we have active users. You could select number of events, transactions, or even new users. And for our case, let's just go with conversions, so we can measure the conversions. And as soon as and drag it here, you can have multiple metrics, as columns. Just don't put too many, otherwise it's gonna get confusing. But we're still not done. We're still showing all the data, but we only want to focus on the form submit event. So how we can do that is create a filter here, and we can filter by event name, and we'll only include those that exactly match form submit.
Oh, interesting.
We'll apply that. Now we've got a report that only shows where the cities and acquisition channels from where people submitted this form. And this is how you can basically track where your audience is subscribing from. And that's basically it.
Yeah.
Are there any specific questions? Oh, I see there are.
Right. I think
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. Well, no, if you're going to implement your own solution, I would disable it in enhanced measurements. Otherwise, Google will still automatically add them, and you will get some good data and some bad data. So if you're implementing any of the tracking on your own, just disable that.
Right. Great. I think that would definitely be exciting session for a lot of people, at least for anybody who is running an e-commerce store or who's a publisher or at least a lead gen website like us, since we have a couple of lead forms on our website as well, where you track the form submission. Ziga, please share your experience and let the audience know what they should now take as the next step action in terms of migrating to GA4 or in terms of the reporting in GA4.
Yeah, thanks again for everybody to stick with me till the end. I hope you got some useful information, and of course, thank you, TechMate, for inviting me. Maybe one thing, you can ping me on LinkedIn, or you can find me at ziga.verse@gmail if you have any questions.
Yeah, we have the link. Yeah, so this is the email ID, ziga.verse@gmail.com.
Yeah. Otherwise, don't delay your migration. I know it's painful, and we all got used to the Universal Analytics, how it looks, how it feels. We know where to find things, but there's a bunch of new things in Google Analytics 4 that will work much better if you migrate as soon as possible. So, for example, one of them is also AI prediction. So I would strongly suggest that you try and migrate as soon as possible. And yeah, I'd also like to say that I've used TagMate to migrate some of my Google Tag Manager tags, and it worked really well. So I think they also offer a trial period. Maybe Bismay can say a little bit about that. So you can test it out and see if it works for you. But for me, it was great. So
yeah. Thanks for that quick note there. Yes, we do offer a free trial as well for 14 days where you can test the product, you can understand how it works, and our support is top notch. Don't worry, we have it almost like, not obviously 24/7, but then our chat support is really quick for that. Great. Like you said, I think, Ziga, GA4 is obviously like a necessary evil, and everybody has to kind of migrate, be it in today or in the next upcoming months until June of 2023, when things stops. Google stops or basically sunsets the entire UA reports or UA properties. So yes, audience, we would want you to kind of go ahead and look at the Udemy course, get yourself educated. Ziga, by the way, are you also coming up more such GA4 advanced reporting courses on Udemy?
Yeah, I'm actually, I also have a Google Tag Manager course, which is, I think, about 4 hours long. So if anybody wants to really learn about Google Tag Manager, they can do that as well. And yeah, I'm preparing an in-depth Google Analytics 4 course as we speak. Hopefully, at the beginning of next year, I will release it, and I will go in depth in different kinds of reports, how to create them, what to measure, what's important, and so forth. But yeah, it's taken me a bit longer to do that as expected. But for now, the migration part, I think it's also important. If you do the migration, and even if you don't use the Google Analytics yet, as long as you gather data in it, it's going to help you in the long run.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely the right process. I think step one is migration, and step two is the GA4 reporting and adoption. Great. Thank you, Ziga, for all your time. Thank you, audience, for staying until the last. And I hope the three reports that Ziga was sharing actually makes a lot of value for e-commerce owners or website WordPress owners or the bloggers. And we are going to come up with more such reports, advanced reporting mechanisms, or visualizations, and we hope to host Ziga again in one of our next episodes. Thank you, Ziga, again.